My name is Sophia. Standing in the amber-lit private room of Brennan's, I look around at the faces of our dearest friends and family. The rehearsal dinner, which should have been a blissful prelude to our wedding, has been marred by the shadow of my parents' betrayal. Just a moment ago, a woman named Lily, a friend I haven't seen in 6 long years, walked through the door. She's 36, a strong-willed woman with green eyes that hold a depth of wisdom from life's hardships. She bypassed all the greetings and confusion and walked straight up to me, holding a manila envelope. Her voice was steady but serious as she said she needed 5 minutes and it couldn't wait. I led her into the small corridor outside the dining room. The sounds of the celebration were muffled behind the closed door. She placed the envelope in my hands and urged me to open it. Inside were medical records from the hospital where I endured a heart-wrenching experience years ago. There was a dated discharge summary and a letter from the doctor, confirming the pregnancy loss at 16 weeks. And beneath those, a series of text messages between my mother, Victoria, and an old flame of mine named Ethan. 3 months ago, my mother reached out to Ethan, asking him to confirm that I had given birth to a child and put it up for adoption without his knowledge. Ethan, to his credit, refused. He told her the truth and said he wanted no part in her scheme. My mother pushed him twice more, but he stopped responding. Lily got hold of these documents because Ethan felt uneasy about my mother's persistence and reached out to her. They had kept in touch over the years, and she drove 5 hours just to make sure I had the proof before my big day. As I stand here holding these papers, a silence fills my chest. It's not just anger, it's a profound sadness of finally having proof of what I've always suspected. My parents, far from being the loving guardians they should be, are cruel manipulators, determined to control my life. Let me step back in time and tell you how I got here. I grew up in a family where my parents' love seemed like a carrot on a stick, always out of reach. I was 8 when my father, Henry, called me a liar in front of the whole family. We were at my uncle's anniversary party, and I accidentally knocked over a glass of soda. When I told him it slipped, he scoffed and said to the family, "She's always making excuses. It's never her fault." Everyone laughed, and I felt a cold chill of humiliation. From that moment on, I knew my parents had already decided who I was in their eyes, and for the next 20 years, I tried desperately to prove them wrong. I dressed to please them, spoke carefully around them, and always apologized first, even when I was innocent. I transformed myself into a stranger, believing that if I was perfect enough, I could finally earn their unconditional love. Then I met Ryan. He's 33, an architect with a creative mind and a heart of gold. We met at an art gallery fundraiser 2.5 years ago. He was there for a client, and I was representing a local charity. Within 5 minutes of meeting, he accidentally spilled his coffee on my dress. His apology was so sincere and full of self-deprecating humor that I burst out laughing instead of getting angry. By the end of the night, we exchanged numbers, and our conversation felt like a breath of fresh air after a lifetime of suffocation. Ryan never asked me to be smaller. He listened when I spoke, and he respected my opinions. After 13 months of dating, he proposed in our backyard. There were no grand fireworks or a huge crowd. It was just him on one knee, holding a simple ring that had been in his family for generations, and his voice trembling as he said my name. I said yes before he even finished his proposal. We set the wedding for a Saturday in late October. The rehearsal dinner was planned for the Friday before, at this beautiful restaurant, Brennan's. The place was transformed into a fairy tale, with soft amber lights, long tables dressed in cream linen, and eucalyptus runners. It was a gathering of those who truly loved and supported me, a feeling I had been longing for all my life. But my parents had never liked Ryan. My father thought he was too laid back, not ambitious enough for his standards. My mother, on the other hand, would smile sweetly at Ryan in front of his face and then whisper snide remarks about him as soon as he was out of earshot. I had learned to tune out their negative comments over the years, but 14 days before the wedding, they did something that shattered my heart. Ryan called me on a Wednesday afternoon. His voice was different, cautious, as if he was handling a fragile object. He told me that without any warning or notice, my parents had visited him at his office. They sat across from him and said that I had been pregnant at 21, given birth to a child, and abandoned it without a second thought. My father used harsh and demeaning words, and my mother whispered, "Don't let her trap you, too." Ryan didn't yell at me or accuse me. He simply asked if there was anything I needed to tell him. I sat in my car in the parking lot, my phone pressed to my ear, feeling like the ground beneath me had vanished. The truth was, when I was 21, I was in a relationship with Ethan. He was charming at first, but it was a charm that masked his controlling nature. When I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified. Ethan was no support at all. He made it clear that he didn't want the child, and when I said I wasn't sure what to do, he pressured me so much that I felt like I had no say in the matter. I carried the pregnancy for 4 months until a sudden miscarriage ended it. It was a devastating loss, one that I buried deep inside me. I didn't talk about it with anyone, not even Ryan, because I never found the right moment, and that part of my life was a dark chapter one wanted to forget. My parents were there with me through all of it. My mother drove me to the hospital, and she held my hand in the waiting room. They knew exactly what had happened and what hadn't, but 14 days before my wedding, they chose to lie to Ryan in an attempt to break us apart. That night, I drove to Ryan's place and told him everything. The pregnancy, the miscarriage, Ethan, and the silence I had kept. He listened intently, his eyes fixed on mine. When I finished, he reached across the table, took my hand, and said, "I'm so sorry you had to go through that." He didn't question my silence, he just grieved with me. But the damage my parents had done was still there, hanging in the air between us. I knew it wouldn't just disappear because Ryan was understanding. My parents had calculated that a seed of doubt so close to the wedding could ruin our relationship. What they didn't expect was Lily walking through the door with the proof. I walk back into the dining room, and Ryan, as if he can read my mind, comes to stand beside me. I place the envelope on the table in front of my parents, in front of all our guests. I take a deep breath and, without raising my voice, I tell them what the documents contain and what they had tried to do 14 days ago. My father's face hardens, and my mother looks down at the tablecloth, silent. I ask them to leave, and they do. The room falls silent for a long moment. Then Ryan's mother, Elaine, a kind-hearted woman who has always been like a mother to me, stands up and starts to clap. Slowly, the whole table joins in. I stand there in the warm amber light, holding Ryan's hand, and look across the table at Lily with tears in my eyes. I let the sound of the applause wash away all the years of being called a liar in rooms full of silence. We got married the next day. The ceremony was small and intimate, just the way we wanted it. My parents weren't there, and it wasn't a loss. It was a boundary I finally set and stopped apologizing for. Ryan cried during his vows, and I held back my tears until he finished his. Lily sat in the front row and handed me a tissue at just the right moment, just like she always did. I spent most of my life believing that I was somehow unlovable in my parents' eyes. But now I know that their love was conditional, based on their own controlling desires. Some people don't stop trying to control you because they change, they stop because you build a life so strong that their words can no longer hurt you. If this story resonates with you, if you've ever had someone rewrite your truth and no one stood up for you, know that this isn't the end of your story. Sometimes, it's the beginning of your real life. If you've been moved by this, please subscribe to this channel. Every story we share is for someone who needs to hear it. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and come back for the next one because the best is yet to come.